They'd already bought their father's coffin, but the cops mixed things up and put him in an unmarked grave. Tonight, you'll hear from the Cante family. And a COVID outbreak at Belize's only mental hospital. Plus, Wilbert Vallejos, the former lands commissioner, has lawyered up. Also, ASR BSI says bad weather has forced them to put a pause on the cane season. We'll tell you what it means for farmers. We've got details of these and other stories in our newscast for tonight, Tuesday, January 5th, 2021. Good evening. With your news, I'm Indra Craig.
For hydration, when the choice is yours, choose the brand you have always trusted. Crystal Water. Taste you can trust.
Welcome back to Popsville, where Grandpa Keith and his neighbor Martin are hard at work making way for another big junk haul. But this scrap party is about to come crashing down. Back from a school workshop about Pops, it might be time for Adita to start putting her knowledge to practice.
Did you know that when you dismantle old electronics and car parts, you're exposing yourself and others to persistent organic pollutants? Don't you know what POPs are and their dangers? Well, come, let me show you.
When we dismantle outdated electronics like old TVs, computer monitors, and smartphones, we expose ourselves and our families to highly hazardous chemicals that can affect our health in the long and short term. Not so fast, Martin. This goes for you too. Improper dismantling and disposal of end-of-life vehicles can also release dangerous fumes, which can make your family and those around you very ill. Burning plastic from cables and other e-waste can also create health risks. But if you follow these simple tips, you can prevent the worst from happening. When ready to get rid of your old electronics, contact authorized recyclers and dealers on proper instructions on how to safely dispose of unwanted items. While it's nice to have new things, buying too much can overwhelm our homes with clutter. If you need to purchase, choose long-lasting products or items that are highly recyclable to reduce these hazards. Make sure to check the labels on carpets and mattresses before purchasing, as certain countries require that these products are manufactured with flame retardants that may be hazardous when exposed to us over time. For a safer alternative, consider switching to carpets or mattresses made with POPs-free materials. And finally, it's very important to recycle. Recycling often helps reduce any buildup of unwanted items in homes and yards, keeping us all free from potentially hazardous pollutants. For more information on recycling or on disposing products of concern, contact your local waste management agency or visit stopthepops.com for more details. Sometimes danger lurks where you least expect it. The more you know, the healthier you can grow.
Belize is at risk of losing its World Heritage status. Belize is home to 3 of the 4 atolls in the entire Western Hemisphere. Belize's barrier reef, cay, and atolls are being put at risk by what will be the largest dredging campaign ever conducted in Belize. The concern is the disposal of dredged material, totaling 7 to 10 million cubic meters of unsuitable material, such as silt and other pollutants, for the Port of Belize Cargo and Cruise project proposed by Lord Ashcroft's Waterloo Investment Holdings. The extreme proximity of the deposits to the barrier reef and cay are shown in the photo provided by local expert Jose Pepe Garcia. As a result, there will be tremendous damage to the coral reefs, and the fishing industry will suffer. Jose Pepe Garcia, local expert and owner of Tunic Na Consultancy, concluded in his report on the Port of Belize expansion project that the disposal plans are ill-considered, environmentally unsound, and careless. These plans are never to make it to environmental clearance. The barrier reef and its atolls are considered World Heritage Sites. The public consultation for the EIA was the most attended public hearing in the history of Belize, with over 2,000 plus commentaries from Belizeans in opposition of the project.
As a marine scientist, based on what has been proposed for dumping at sea in particular, I could never support this project.
My understanding was that the entire NGO community was completely against this based on the dumping of the dredge material outside of the reef.
The reef will remain intact.
That will bring disaster to us in many more ways than one.
We vote out corruption. We vote out nepotism.
We call on you folks to definitely give ear to our concern. We're destroying our own country. We're destroying our own islands.
A letter was sent by the NGO emphasizing their objections to the substantial dredging campaign. No adequate rationale has been provided that justifies that ocean dumping should ever be considered for Belize. The NGO letter is supported by the following organizations: Belize Abudan Society, Oceana, Belize Tourism Industry Association, Clearwater Marine Aquarium, EcoMar, Turnife Atoll Trust, Turnife Atoll Sustainability Association, Bonefish Tarpoon Trust, Fragments of Hope, Healthy Reefs for Healthy People, Sea Belize, and the World Wildlife Fund. In support of stopping the destruction of coral reefs, TASA stated the following: "We at TASA, along with the marine conservation community, are dissatisfied with the proposed Port of Belize cruise and cargo expansion project. TASA is against any proposal to dump dredge spoils in our marine waters, near any of our reefs, and especially next to the Turnife Atoll Marine Reserve."
The vampire Michael Ashcroft and his Belizean minions. That would never happen in a million years.
Dr. Frank Gordon Kirkwood, a retired oilman and independent advisor, a wildlife emergency response volunteer, and a chartered engineer for petroleum, goes on to say the complete lack of cruise port strategy for Belize City, which results in false promises of increased employment and economic benefit, way in excess of the growth rates for the cruise industry seen before COVID-19. He further states that the industry is not big enough to support the level of investment indicated by the one cruise port currently under construction at Stake Bank and the Port of Belize proposed development, meaning that there will be too much development, with the consequence that the environment will suffer far more from the superfluous development activity than it would do if the Belize City cruise port development were done in a more strategically justified way.
Caused the intense flooding overnight in the western and southern parts of the country.
Yeah?
Do we need to renew the insurance policy? The Price Highway and
insurance
the
policy
Highway were impassable.
Oh, let me check.
Renew your policies, file a claim, and even send us a message using RFNG online.
Now we're good. It says we're covered.
Okay, great.
It pays to get it right with RFNG Insurance, a Road Group company.
You have a neighbor throwing a party? Do you know of anyone holding a social event? Have you seen people not following protocols set in place to reduce the spread of COVID-19? If so, report them immediately. Use SMART or BTL and call 0800 Parties. That's 0800 727 8432. Our COVID-19 hotlines are available 24/7. These violators are putting your health and everyone you love at risk. Call our COVID-19 hotlines and report all violators. This message was brought to you by the Belize Police Department.
looking for a paint which offers durability, fast drying action, easy application, long-lasting protection, and low odor, then Coronado is the brand you need. Choose from eggshell, flat, or semi-gloss finishes for your home's interior or exterior. You can also protect your deck from the harsh outdoor elements with Coronado Maxum deck and siding stain. We also have primers, masonry, and metal coatings for other projects around your home. Benny's Paint Center has the paint you need in the color and finish you want. Enjoy your newly painted home with long-lasting, durable Coronado paints. Available at Benny's. Quality and savings.
Tonight, a family is heartbroken after an unforgivable mix-up at the morgue culminated in their father's burial as a John Doe in an unmarked grave. The Cantes say their father died alone, likely of alcohol poisoning. Still, hospital protocol dictated that his body be tested for COVID, and according to Cantes' son, Louis, that's where all their troubles began, ending in mass confusion.
We took him to the hospital, and as soon as we reached, they made a COVID-19 test, and then they took him to the morgue. So the next day, the 31st, we reached again, so we can claim for the body. We were behind them, and then the doctor came and told us that they needed another test because the quick swab was negative, so they needed another one, but that they take that test to the in Belize, so they will wait until that result comes and they will give the body if that's COVID or not COVID. So then we used to go every day to claim for the bodies. The 4th of January, we went to I received a call from the doctor and said, like, the result has come. The result has come and it's negative, so you can come and find the body and bring whatever you have to bring, buy your coffin and all that stuff. So we start making everything. Like, we're happy that we will give my dad one grave. So when we reached there, we buy everything. We took the coffin there, and then when I reached there, as soon as I reached there, I realized that was not my dad. It was not my dad's body. So I told him, there's another body here, so I can. He told me that's the only body we have here. At the end of the day, at the end of everything, they reached to a conclusion that they mix up the body. Usually, the police, what they do is that the body that nobody reclaims it, nobody goes and find the body. So what they do is that they make an autopsy, and then they get responsibility to give them a grave. So they ask for one John Doe, and then what they get is the body of my dad, not that person. So in the morgue, they mix the body. So they give me the bad news for my family, for me more, that my dad, they already buried my dad. So I didn't know what to think on that time. So we have spent a lot. Right now, making money is not that easy. So, and we don't have money to move and get a lawyer and stuff like that. The only thing is, like, I just want to tell people to learn about this situation. Like, we have to well, I wanted to put this so that people can open their eyes or do something, like, for this not to happen, because this is a very painful situation. Like, everybody wants to bury their beloved persons, and they give them a rest in peace, a grave. So, but we didn't have that opportunity.
The family says they want compensation for the emotional and financial hardship they've had to endure. They also say that even though their father is buried in another village, distance won't stop them from visiting his grave. Last night, we brought you the tragic story of Myron Samir Itza, the 14-year-old who snuck out after curfew on New Year's Eve, only to turn up dead in a nearby house on New Year's Day. It's a tragedy for his family, made worse by the uncertain circumstances under which it occurred. But tonight, some light has been shed on the manner in which Shamir died. His postmortem classifies his cause of death as acute respiratory distress and not an overconsumption of alcohol as had been suspected. But this is still indeterminate. It does not say how a teenaged boy ended up in acute distress. Police say that samples have been taken from the scene and that the investigation continues. And while the police continue to investigate that mysterious death, the Ministry of Health is investigating a COVID outbreak at Palmview Center in Belmopan. Some of the most vulnerable Belizeans are at risk after the mental health facility reported that 21 residents and 7 staff members tested positive yesterday. That's 21 out of their 27 residents who are currently ill. Fortunately, no deaths have been reported. All other patients and staff members have been tested, and the ministry will be following up. Those who do not have serious symptoms are medically isolated but not hospitalized. Negative patients have been relocated to another building on the compound. Cabinet met yesterday and a press release announces extraordinary measures to inject some life into the economy. Cabinet will introduce legislation at Friday's House sitting to, quote, empower the Central Bank of Belize to provide for emergency programs and facilities to assist during unusual and necessary economic circumstances, end quote. It doesn't say clearly exactly how this will work in practical terms, but we take it to mean that the central bank will create further liquidity directly to lend. But it's not clear if that money will go through GOB or to the banks or directly to businesses. It's an unusual measure, and the cabinet press brief refers to, quote, unusual and necessary economic circumstances. Cabinet is also considering a request by the Minister of Sustainable Development, Landy Habet, to review all short-term logging licenses issued on national land for the logging season October 2020 to July 2021. In this case, we are told there is the suspicion of some UDP special licenses having been awarded before the election. Cabinet has also appointed an inter-ministerial committee to, quote, review the misuse of drugs legislation, to recommend amendments to facilitate the proper development of the hemp industry, and to establish a national hemp policy as well as monitoring mechanisms. Members include the Minister of Agriculture, Jose Mai, Minister of Home Affairs and New Growth Industries, Karim Musa, and Minister of Sustainable Development, Landy Habet. Cabinet also approved a supplementary budget, which it will present on Friday. And Cabinet confirmed that a state funeral will be held for Dr. Dame Menita Gordon, with a date to be announced. ASR-BSI puts the brakes on the sugarcane season. The experts will explain why. And Dr. Marvin Manzanero, you'll hear more from his ordeal with COVID-19. Plus, a new water park in Corozal hopes to create a northern tourist attraction. We'll have all those after the break. Don't go away.
For hydration, when the choice is yours, choose the brand you have always trusted. Crystal Water. Taste you can trust.
Welcome back to Popsville, where Grandpa Keith and his neighbor Martin are hard at work making way for another big junk haul. But this scrap party is about to come crashing down. Back from a school workshop about Pops, it might be time for Adita to start putting her knowledge to practice.
Did you know that when you dismantle old electronics and car parts, you're exposing yourself and others to persistent organic pollutants? Don't you know what POPs are and their dangers? Well, come, let me show you.
When we dismantle outdated electronics like old TVs, computer monitors, and smartphones, we expose ourselves and our families to highly hazardous chemicals that can affect our health in the long and short term. Not so fast, Martin. This goes for you too. Improper dismantling and disposal of end-of-life vehicles can also release dangerous fumes, which can make your family and those around you very ill. Burning plastic from cables and other e-waste can also create health risks. But if you follow these simple tips, you can prevent the worst from happening. When ready to get rid of your old electronics, contact authorized recyclers and dealers on proper instructions on how to safely dispose of unwanted items. While it's nice to have new things, buying too much can overwhelm our homes with clutter. If you need to purchase, choose long-lasting products or items that are highly recyclable to reduce these hazards. Make sure to check the labels on carpets and mattresses before purchasing, as certain countries require that these products are manufactured with flame retardants that may be hazardous when exposed to us over time. For a safer alternative, consider switching to carpets or mattresses made with POPs-free materials. And finally, it's very important to recycle. Recycling often helps reduce any buildup of unwanted items in homes and yards, keeping us all free from potentially hazardous pollutants. For more information on recycling or on disposing products of concern, contact your local waste management agency or visit stopthepops.com for more details. Sometimes danger lurks where you least expect it. The more you know, the healthier you can grow.
To monitor your energy usage with the BEL 24/7 mobile app. Just simply take a photo of your current meter number, open the app, go to Calculator, and from the list, select Smart Calculator. Choose your meter number followed by your kilowatt hours, then press Calculate. With this powerful feature, you can easily manage your energy usage. Download the BEL 24/7 mobile app from Google Play or the Apple Store today.
Maggie, season's greetings. Yo, consider you that compliments of the season, girl. Yes, girl. So how you did do? Girl, I'm here, Gary, girl, let go. Girl, not too bad, you know. That's 6 months now, so we barely feel it. And you did do big Christmas shopping, though. Yes, girl. You know, every year the whole family come over to my house, lot them out to feed. And tell him even when we buy a new sofa set, I don't know who gonna try him first. And you done your big Christmas shopping? No, girl, no kind of big shopping this year. I totally understand. Anyways, make I try come out of this place. Bye. Not forget your tax receipt. Receipt? For the little bit of thing? It no matter, for the sake of accountability, we have to know that for we tax money, they go where it's supposed to go. You don't know? Tax is important for the economy of every country. Taxes help pay for education, streets, and other government projects like grocery bag will benefit all of we. And you never know, when the economy pick up back, maybe Gary could even get back his job. You know, you're right.
It's that time of year again. And whether you're buying gifts for loved ones, shopping for new furniture and appliances, or simply doing business as usual, The Belize Tax Service Department would like to remind you to always ask for a tax receipt with every purchase. Let us all do our part to ensure the further growth of Belize. Together we build our country, your contribution, our development.
Contraband is the illegal importation of goods such as alcohol, tobacco, foods, and parts. Apart from breaking the law, smugglers are also now endangering the health of all Belizeans. They risk bringing coronavirus into Belize with their contraband. To keep COVID-19 out of Belize, everyone entering the country is screened and quarantined. But contraband smugglers are not using legal entry points and are bypassing all safety measures. And these same smugglers are moving among the population. They could be carrying the virus. By coming into the country illegally, they could cause outbreaks of COVID-19. Buying or smuggling contraband is putting yourself, your family, and the entire country at risk. Report smuggling. For SMART, call 0800-JUMPERS or 0800-BORDERS. For Digi, 0800-SAVE-BZE. This message is brought to you by the Belize Police Department and the Belize Bank.
El contrabando es importar ilegalmente productos como el alcohol, tabaco, comida y objetos. Aparte de romper la ley, los contrabandistas están poniendo ahora en riesgo la salud de los beliceños. Ellos arriesgan traer coronavirus a Belice por medio de sus contrabandos. Para mantener el COVID-19 fuera de Belice, todos los que entren al país son examinados y encuarentenados. Sin embargo, los contrabandistas no utilizan los puntos de entrada legal y se saltan todas las medidas de seguridad. Estos mismos traficantes se están moviendo entre la población. Ellos podrían tener el virus. Al entrar ilícitamente al país, esto puede provocar un brote de COVID-19. Comprar o traficar contrabando te pone a ti, a tu familia y a todo tu país en riesgo. Para números de SMART, llama al 0800-586-7377, 0800-267-3377 y para Digi 0800-728-3293 para reportar cualquier actividad de contrabando. Este mensaje es presentado por el Departamento de Policía de Belice y el Banco de Belice.
An American woman was found dead in Altamira, Corozal. When police arrived on the scene, they found 68-year-old Peggy Darnell fully clothed in an advanced state of decomposition. Darnell was last seen by a cleaner, 34-year-old Marlene Katsim, on December 30th around 8:30 a.m. when she went to clean her residence. Darnell has had a clinical history of blood vessel clots and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. She was treated back in 2014 for her condition, and her last doctor visit was 3 weeks ago. Police are investigating to see if it was a natural death or if foul play was involved. It took 2 months, but the Briceño administration has finally named its appointees to the Social Security Board of Directors and the Investment Committee. The government-appointed chairperson is Nigeli Sosa. She will be joined by the other government appointees, Emma Jean Habet Alcocer, Wendy Castillo, Michael Hyde, and Michael Coy. The board representatives from the employers and the National Trade Union Congress of Belize are Lourdes Smith, Marcelo Blake, Laurie Lee Westby, and Patrick Balan. For the SSB Investment Committee, the government has appointed Reynaldo Magana as chairman and Vanessa Briceño as a member. The representatives appointed by the Belize Chamber of Commerce and the NTUCB are Emile Mena and Brian Duncan. The SSB had been operating without a board since November 12th of 2020 and has been without a substantive CEO since January of 2020. Former Land Commissioner Wilbert Vallejos, his family home and his brother's home in Pachacan were searched yesterday. As we reported, police came upon $69,800 Belize dollars, along with $1,170 US dollars and 10,000 pesos. Police took his mother into custody, and after some pleading last night, she was released at around 9:30 due to her medical condition, and another brother, Omar, was held in her place. He was released this afternoon. Wilbert Vallejos' mother is a major sugarcane farmer and has declared that the money is hers. But police still want to question Wilbert Vallejos, though they wouldn't tell us why today. Wilbert Vallejos has reportedly retained a lawyer, instead going to meet with the police. This is after the two homes were raided, and then police went back to his mother's house, where he also lives, and took his laptop computer. The Briceño administration believes that Vallejos, who served as lands commissioner for 10 years, had knowledge of many land deals under the UDP, deals which are now under studied review for irregularity. Vallejos told us, 7 News, on Friday that he resigned as commissioner after a debilitating bout with COVID-19, and because after 10 years as commissioner, it was time for someone else to do the job. He had worked in the ministry for 22 years. A week ago, we told you about the uneasy start of the 2020-2021 sugar crop season. Day one of this new milling season was December 28th. It should have started 2 weeks earlier, but due to heavy rains last month, the season had to be delayed. And very early into the new season, millers, ASR, BSI, stressed to the farmers that the mill needed a minimum of 5,500 tons of cane per day to operate efficiently. Anything less than that would start to jeopardize the mill season. The company implored farmers to do their best to meet this minimum quota. But viewers will remember that transition tremors at the SCPC started to negatively impact the efficient management of the crop. 4 employees who were important in ensuring a steady and orderly flow cane trucks in the queue suddenly resigned. And then there are transport problems created by the terrible conditions of the sugar roads. As we told you, those roads are in bad shape, which makes transporting the cane to the mill a big challenge. Today, only 8 days into the new season, ASR, BSI announced that the stakeholders have jointly agreed to a temporary pause in the crop season. In an extended teleconference briefing, ASR's Mac McLellan told the press that these combined problems have forced them to make this difficult decision. Here's how he explained it to us this afternoon.
The weather has played a major part, I think, in bringing us to the position we're in. But from the mill's perspective, what I'd say is, and I think I said it last time I spoke to you, we require a certain throughput of cane to maintain an efficient mill, and not even an efficient mill, to really manage the milling process. And in general, that minimum amount that we really need is 5,500 tons of cane a day. Now, since we started this crop, for a whole range of different reasons, we've been unable to get to that point. For example, in the first 8 days of the crop, we had that 5,500 ton operational requirement should have been about 44,000 tons of cane, but we only received 34,600 tons of cane. Now, there comes a point where that leads to a number of problems. One, the mill has to keep stopping and starting because it just can't handle the low throughput. And so, unlike these modern cars that vehicles that stop at the traffic light and the engine goes off, and then you put your foot on the accelerator, it starts again. Unfortunately, the mill is not like that. You've got to keep that thing running and serviced in order for it to operate properly. It's impossible really to keep stopping and starting all the time. Second point, again linked to the weather and also linked to the coordination of deliveries. There've been a certain amount of impurities coming in with the cane, increasingly so as it rains, more mud and other things that the mill needs to manage in addition to just the cane supply. And then finally the other issue is that at the end of the process, bagasse is left behind, and that's used to basically keep the boilers burning. And you need to have a kind of ratio of that to manage the crop as you move forward. And if things fall down to a point, as they did say on day 8, where the meal requirement was 6,500 tons and we received 2,400, then something has to give in the end. Now, the big problem we and the farmers have is that we just don't know what's going to happen with the weather. Clearly, we've had a rain event over the last weekend, which was pretty heavy. That caused a lot of problems for farmers. That's linked to the problems that we are currently experiencing and they are experiencing with the sugar roads at the moment, which obviously have been dealt a number of heavy weather instances that have caused problems and a genuine difficulty in getting the cane out. And thirdly, I think, that the coordination of the crop has really not been optimal so far, this crop. And there have been issues where cane trucks have been loaded, could have come in, but have been told, well, it's not their time or something, and they haven't come.
Currently, the mill is in the process of stockpiling approximately 8,000 tons of cane, which have already been burnt for delivery. That amount came from a consensus between millers, the Sugar Industries Control Board, the Sugar Cane Production Committee, and the Cane Farming Associations. After that amount is milled, the short pause will take effect, and the stakeholders will decide among themselves when the season should resume in earnest. Until that date, the millers are asking farmers not to burn any more cane. The press also asked ASR's Vice President of International Relations to comment on the industrial fire which broke out at the Belcogen plant in Orange Walk. It happened on New Year's Eve. One of the facility's turbines caught fire, but the employees were able to quickly put it out before it got out of control. Today, McLellan told us that it was a piece of equipment that BSI owned before ASR took over.
The turbine fire, yes, that was the result of the poor production from the very beginning of that particular turbine. This is still the Chinese equipment that we sort of inherited at BSI, and through I believe it was there was some internal issue with the turbine. I mean, thankfully it was noted early on, and the fire was extinguished quickly, and we're now going through the process of assessing damage and looking at where any replacements can be sought and how quickly we can put that online. But we're still in the process of assessing that at the moment. But it's not having a material impact on the grinding capacity.
According to the company, this small industrial fire has not impacted its operations in any significant way. 2 new COVID deaths have been reported by the Ministry of Health and Wellness, 1 male and 1 female. 81 new cases were confirmed today. Today's infectivity rate stands at 34.8%, but the bright side, 135 persons have successfully recovered from the disease. And in today's release, the Ministry of Health reminded the public to, quote, follow public health advice, adhere to quarantine guidelines. They also advise seeking medical attention immediately for any shortness of breath or chest pain symptoms. And PAHO WHO continues to support the government's COVID-19 testing drive. They today donated 94,975 antigen tests with 7 units of SD standard COVID-19 antigen control and 2 units of rapid diagnostic test analyzers. These rapid antigen tests will be a major help when conducting tests in rural and remote areas of the country. PAHO specialist Dr. Job Joseph and Dr. Bo Lastig handed over the items to Minister of Health and Wellness Michelle Shabat, his CEO Dr. Daisy Mendes, and Acting DHS Dr. Melissa Diaz. And when we come back, we have part 2 of Dr. Manza's bout with COVID-19. Don't go away.
Paint which offers durability, fast drying action, easy application, long-lasting protection, and low odor, then Coronado is the brand you need. Choose from eggshell, flat, or semi-gloss finishes for your home's interior or exterior. You can also protect your deck from the harsh outdoor elements with Coronado Maxum deck and siding stain. We also have primers, masonry, and metal coatings for other projects around your home. Benny's Paint Center has the paint you need in the color and finish you want. Enjoy your newly painted home with long-lasting, durable Coronado paints. Available at Benny's. Quality and savings.
Delicate, the beer of Belize.
You've worked hard your whole life building your future, your family, your business, your home. And when you aren't around to safeguard your most beloved assets, you are at ease because you know they are protected by RF&G Insurance. For over 50 years, RF&G has been making sure business owners get back to work after an accident, and families get back into their homes quickly after a natural disaster. At RF&G, it's you who matters most. Visit us today and learn why it pays to get it right. RF&G Insurance, a Rowe Group company.
Maggie, season's greetings.
Girl, consider you that compliments of the season, girl.
Yes, girl. So how you did do? Girl, I'm here, Gary, girl, let go.
Girl, not too bad, you know. That's 6 months now, so we barely feel it. And you did do big Christmas shopping, though.
Yes, girl. You know, every year the whole family come over to my house. Lot of mouth to feed. And tell him even when we buy a new sofa set. I don't know who in the try to impress. And you done your big Christmas shopping?
No, girl, no kind of big shopping this year.
I totally understand.
Anyways, make I try come out of this place. Bye.
Not forget your tax receipt.
Receipt? For the little thing?
It no matter, for the sake of accountability, we have to know that for we tax money, they go where it's supposed to go. You don't know, tax is important for the economy of every country. Taxes help pay for education, streets, and other government projects like grocery bag will benefit all of we. And you never know, when the economy pick up back, maybe Gary could even get back a job.
You know, you're right.
It's that time of year again. And whether you're buying gifts for loved ones, shopping for new furniture and appliances, or simply doing business as usual, the Belize Tax Service Department would like to remind you to always ask for a tax receipt with every purchase. Let us all do our part to ensure the further growth of Belize. Together we build our country, your contribution, our development. You have a neighbor throwing a party? Do you know of anyone holding a social event? Have you seen people not following protocols set in place to reduce the spread of COVID-19? If so, report them immediately. Use SMART or BTL and call 0800-PARTIES. That's 0800-727-8432. Our COVID-19 hotlines are available 24/7. These violators are putting your health and everyone you love at risk. Call our COVID-19 hotlines and report all violators. This message was brought to you by the Belize Police Department.
Yesterday, you heard Dr. Marvin Manzanero talk about his darkest moments after being diagnosed with COVID-19. But it's scary to think that even after recovery, those moments don't go away. And according to Dr. Manza, effects of the virus can continue long after the virus is out of your system. He told us yesterday during a Zoom interview that since he has been vocal about his own condition, other long-haul patients have told him about their own strange long-term symptoms. As he told us, the brain fog, fatigue, shortness of breath, and cardiac problems don't always go away when the virus does.
I think we're learning new things. You may be looking for certain more obvious things, but I think it's what lingers on that you have to be on the lookout for as well. Not only physically, I think mentally there's a component that we need to look at. We should be able to look at the long-term effects of that as well. Emotionally as well, I mean, it takes a toll on you. I think people can be pushed into depression quickly if you have a predisposing situation as well. And those might be things that fall under the radar because particularly I think in the male population, which is one of the reasons why I've chosen to be vocal about my experience. Not that I am trying to bring any spotlight on me, but I think it's making people understand that this is real. It's not going to just affect you just because, or not affect you because you're a young person, because you're a healthy person, or that you can take things for granted. You don't know what is going to drive those lesions in your lungs. You don't know what is going to make them regress. You don't know how long it's going to be there. Now that I have been vocal about it, I have lots of people who are in a similar situation reaching out to me. People saying that they are having mental lapses, brain fog. This is months after. A colleague from Sonora saying that 4 months after she had COVID, she can't dress herself because she's now having cardiac complications as a result of COVID, the post-COVID-19 symptoms. So she's back on steroids and other situations. I was placed back on steroids from last week. I have a young person reach out to me from, I believe he's from Corozal, saying he's a person who do 2 hours of gym every day. And he got COVID in April. And since then, he's still, the most he can walk, not even run, is 2 miles a day because he's just so fatigued.
And it is precisely those long-term effects that made Dr. Manzanero step back from his duties as DHS. He said that while he is in recovery mode, he has tried not to take on more of a strain on his mental health, and as such has refrained from social media, news outlets, and general information on COVID-19. So he may not have known about the media reporting of the appointment of Dr. Melissa Diaz as acting DHS, and Minister of Health Michelle Shabat's comments implying that Dr. Manzanero will eventually be removed from the post. For now, Dr. Manza says he simply cannot take up the DHS duties at this time.
The week I was in the hospital, I wasn't really following anything. I mean, I was not really, I posted even the note I did when I was initially diagnosed. And then I don't think I checked social media until 2 days after. I still have many unanswered messages on Facebook and WhatsApp. So I wasn't really paying any attention to what has been happening. I've been on survivor mode. Even at home, I think what I'm trying, as I said, I'm not even necessarily reading COVID-19 related situations. When I visited my colleague, doctor, as a patient last week, Wednesday, when my control CAT scan is still showing lesions or patches in both lungs, and that's why I was put back on steroids, both orally and inhaled. He said, you know what, your sick leave would have ended today, but given that and what, you need to go back and start severe respiratory exercises because I can't climb stairs. I cannot climb a flight of stairs without getting short of breath. I can't be following other situations at work. I mean, I know that there's an acting DHS because I can't function with that level of stress right now. So that's what I would have to say in that light. And I have a doctor's visit in the next 2 weeks to determine how much of a lung function is going to remain. And what you will have to learn to live with that lung function that remains. If it's 70% lung function, then you will have to learn to live stressed, run, walk with that, jog with that 70%. And you have to learn. Your heart will have to learn. Your brain will have to learn. It's a learning process.
Dr. Manzanero said that his energy levels are still low and vary from day to day, morning to evening. But as you heard, he is committed to running marathons again. And while the actual DHS remains on sick leave without any fixed return date, the acting DHS is dealing with new appointments, 2 of which are being watched with a wary eye for nepotism. Those are the appointments of Janira Mira, the Sister of Defense Minister of State Oscar Mira, who has been made manager of Western Health Region, and her deputy, Lily Guerra, a relative of former PUP candidate, now Natural Resources CEO Dr. Lesbia Guerra. Mira had been a financial officer at another ministry before the election. Last week, during a sit-down via Zoom with acting DHS Diaz, she dismissed the question of nepotism and said that they are fully qualified.
Well, I came to this desk in December 9th, and I think that those things were done already. I think that they are, as far as I know, they're both qualified. I believe they both have the qualifications that they need to be in the post. I haven't met with Ms. Mira myself, but I went to San Ignacio last week and met with Ms. Guerra, and the plans for there, it's really good. And I just want to reiterate to you that it's not only about the regional manager, but it's about the team that's on the ground at Western Region. And we have many experienced doctors, nurses, statisticians. We have a big team at Western Region, surveillance officers, public health inspectors. So the work continues at all our regions. And in fact, Western Region is one of the regions that we're looking at to try to get more bed capacity for COVID cases there. And I've been there a few times over the last week or two, and also the Deputy Director of Health Services, Dr. Murray. We've been there, and the team is working tirelessly to get that unit up and running. And we just want to stay focused on COVID and on the management of COVID, the control of our cases, and to ensure that we get our vaccines and continue with our educational aspects.
And while the health of the West may be well managed, the safety of one of its citizens is in dire jeopardy. It's a case of 69-year-old Miguel Caceros, who was tied up by his neighbors on New Year's Day and then vanished without a trace. We heard more about Caceros from ACP Myvid at yesterday's press brief.
On the 1st of January, sometime around 4 p.m., Juan Carlos Gomez of a Benqueviejo town address visited the Benqueviejo police station and reported that he had visited his farm located on the Hydro Road, which is the Arnall Road. And whilst there, he met two other persons, including one Miguel Caceros, a 69-year-old who resides at a nearby farm. Apparently, they were socializing when Caceros got into a dispute with one of those persons, and he left towards his farm and returned with a pellet gun. And upon his return, he discharged the pellet gun in the direction of one of those persons, hitting him in the abdomen. As a result, a struggle ensued, and he was subdued by those persons and tied up, after which it is alleged that they then left the area and went to Benqueviejo police, where they made this report. Upon their arrival back at the farm, Mr. Caceros was not found. Since then, a team of police and family members have been conducting searches within the entire area, but he has not been seen or heard from since. At this point in time, we are looking at all angles, and those persons whom I spoke about are currently detained pending this investigation.
As you heard, Caceros' neighbors were detained for further questioning. And in other news, can Corozal Town become a tourist destination? Well, that's the goal of Marvin Humes, one of the owners of Maximum Water Park. If you visited the northernmost town recently, you'd notice the giant attraction splayed across the Corozal Bay. Well, it also caught our attention, so we asked Humes how this idea came about and, more importantly, why they decided on a water park in the middle of a pandemic.
I have a business partner, and he was in another part of the U.S., and he overseen something just like this. And then he thought more or less how eco-friendly that could be, and how more or less, the people in Belize can benefit from something like that, where we're not going to have to jeopardize our ecosystem and be able to still bring entertainment to Belize. And then together with me, I'll put some things on it like basketball court, volleyball court, and things that I know the people here would enjoy. And that's how we came up with it. The concept of this water park is dependent upon all of Belize being a part of it. So we already have a bus, a 40-seater, leather seats, 2 air conditioning, and we plan to go pick people up from Belmont Pond, Orange Walk, and different parts of Belize. And we've also had a meeting with BTI, Belize Tourism Industry, and they love the idea, and they said that they're prepared also to send people here to Corozal, so we can hopefully make Corozal the next tourist destination in Belize. I went through health department, environmental department. They did a lot of rigorous things to make sure that it was going to be safe and stuff for the people. And Corozal Town Council, they also made sure that I committed to building an 8-bathroom stall, and a parking lot too, because they didn't want congestion to happen. They also didn't want me to have something that was so nice and lavish, yet people, when it comes to using the bathroom, it was going to be something that wasn't, very, very classy for the people. So I more or less had to invest in that and make sure that everything I did was by the books and everything I did was going to be for the benefit of the people. We're not going to open until health department comes one more time and checks and make sure that it's going to be safe for the people. Secondly, I made a lot of strides when it comes to safety measures. We have industrial toilets in the bathroom. You don't even have to touch the button. You just get up and it flushes it themselves. We also have a decontamination machine that you're going to have to walk through before you enter the water park. And this is what I believe is the biggest thing. This is a salt water. This water park is on salt water. This is on the biggest natural disinfectant known to man. And there already is not too many measures against people being inside the sea water with one another. It could be 30 people, 40 people. It really doesn't have a stipulation on salt water anyway. But I'm still going to adhere to the things on land.
This project has been in the works for about 2 years, according to Humes. He also said that the only thing holding them back from operating the park is the need to train lifeguards. Almost 100 migrants were returned home last year through the International Organization for Migration's Assisted Voluntary Return International Organization program. These migrants were stranded in Belize during the pandemic, causing IOM to leap into action to develop this program. It benefits those who want to leave but have no means to return home. The project coordinator, Malinia Gianu, told us more.
We saw that a lot of stranded migrants contacted us during the pandemic because they got stranded in Belize. So the only aim that they had is to return to their countries of origin. We assist 99 migrants from Costa Rica, Honduras, El Salvador, and Panama to return to their countries of origin. And as well, we provide reception assistance to 59 Belizeans who were stranded in Nicaragua. They need to wear always the mask. They also need to obtain a fit for travel. We organize for them a medical examination. Also, when the countries require a rapid test, we also provide them with this test. Okay. And the quarantine. If the quarantine is mandatory, we also provide assistance in paying the quarantine or providing them, if it's at home, providing them food and hygiene kits.
Gian also told us how migrants who need help can get in touch with IOM.
They usually get in contact with the embassies too, with their embassies, but also we get referrals from the government authorities. For example, the Department of Human Services, they refer cases to us, and also migrants get in contact with us through our social media. So they saw that we provide assistance, they contact us, and after an interview, we evaluate if they're eligible or not to return.
What makes them eligible?
The most important thing is that they have to be regular in the country. So they have a regular status, an immigration status, because over 150 migrants contacted us, but they are in a regular situation. So they can obtain the clearance for exit from the immigration department to leave the country. So we are trying to find a solution with the government authorities in order to see how we can help these migrants who are in Belize in a regular status.
And how difficult is it for them, especially the ones who have been in Belize for a number of years? How difficult is it for them to start over in their home?
Usually they have a very good idea of business, so IOM in the countries of origin provide this reintegration assistance with courses, trainings on how to develop this business. Depends on each case. we find different solutions for them.
We took him to
Belizeans that were brought back home were required to quarantine in the designated hotels, and IOM covered the cost of that quarantine. They are now looking at ways to help those in Belize who have an irregular status. As we've shown you, Bill Lindo is the City Hall's man to call when the swing bridge needs fixing. But he's also a complete PUP insider, and he has written an article in which he claims that the Belize City Mayor has had a rethink on a proposal from the Prime Minister. Lindo asserts that Mayor Bernard Wagner is on board to create 1,500 new jobs in Belize City. In an interesting claim, Lindo says, quote, the Mayor of Belize City admitted that he made a mistake when he was given the opportunity by the party leader to create 1,500 new jobs in Belize City in April of 2020, and he refused. Over the Christmas holidays, he recanted and now agrees that starting the last week of January 2021, the Belize City Council will create 1,200 jobs in the following areas: community gardens, sewing of uniforms and school bags, cleaning, beautification of yards, manufacturing of fresh, healthy, organic juices, and the production of plastic goods, end quote. Lindo is also claiming that the government will invest some $10 million in Belize City to create these 1,200 new jobs. When we asked the City Council PR staff to get a comment from the mayor on that claim, we were told that we should ask the Minister of Economic Development, which is Prime Minister Briceño. That's all we have for you tonight. Thanks for watching With Your News. I'm Indira Craig. Remember that you can see a streaming video of this newscast at 7newsbelize.com, brought to you by Digi for the best postpaid plans in the country. Remember now to wash your hands, to wear a mask at all times in public properly, and to keep your social distance. And remember that the curfew starts at 8 tonight, so please stay inside. Join me back here tomorrow at 6, and until then, have a safe and enjoyable night.